Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Hey, how's it going? Hey, welcome to the stream. How you been doing? How you doing? This stream? I guess it's a Q&A stream. It's whatever you feel like talking about stream, I guess. Decided to come on here and chat with you guys, see what was going on. So this is a decent. I got you. Yeah, no. Today I slept in for a little bit. My sleep schedule's been all kind of weird. I'm actually trying to work on trying to get up at 7:30 at least every day. But it's like sleep. It's sometimes I'll just wake up whenever I can, you know. But yeah, no, today's stream it's like a Q&A stream. So if you have any questions or anything like that, or if you just want to hang out, then yeah, that's cool with me too. Just kind of whatever you feel like talking about, I guess. Really nice out today. Sun's kind of in my face, so let me move a little bit. If you don't mind, the fetishy stuff that can be for the second channel. If that's okay with you, I don't mind answering. For the second channel, that's totally fine. This channel, you can ask questions about like how I got started into filmmaking, just whatever you want. But the fetishy stuff, I'd leave that for the second channel, if that's cool. If that's cool with you. Let me just move some stuff around. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I had to set some stuff up, move some things around. I think this is good. It looks like it might be cloudy a little bit. It might rain a bit today. Can't ask where you live. I'm not trying to be creepy and stalk you. I'm just trying. Oh yeah, no. It's no problem, dude. It's no problem. It's all good. No, I live in Puerto Rico. That's where I live. I think I mentioned before on some of the other live streams. That's where I live in Puerto Rico. And I don't do as many live streams as I would like to. I'm trying to get back onto doing more live streams because I miss doing them. But yeah, and I live in Puerto Rico, and sometimes if there's like a big festival going on or some big event, I'll try to stream while I'm doing that. But signal here is a little spotty in some places, so the streams usually don't end up lasting too long. But I'm working on trying to at least do more of that when it comes to big events and get-togethers and celebrations. Oh, really? That's cool, man. It's really cool. Yeah, and I guess you can ask questions about the second channel, but not you can ask questions about upcoming videos, ideas of that sort. I know right now I was planning on filming, some more of the big project that I'm working on with a friend of mine, but at the moment I don't have the proper costume put together. Like I need to get it washed and cleaned in order to do the scene, and just gonna wait for that until I get the materials all together. I will probably end up filming some shots and some things for that project later today. Um, but yeah, no, today's just a nice laid back kind of day, like yesterday was. I'm not sure what's going on tomorrow. I know at some point there's going to be some family friends coming over, so there's that to look forward to later on in the week. And not really too many movies out, that I really want to see right now. I know next weekend, I think there's Tarantino's new movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I'm looking forward to that. And there's Hobbs and Shaw that the family wants to go see because it looks like fun. So we'll probably see that when it comes out. As far as things that I really want to see, I know I want to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark because I love the book series, and I'm really interested to see how that's gonna play out. Um, I know in October is going to be a big month because there's a handful of movies that are coming out I truly, truly want to see. The Joker movie and Zombieland 2 Double Take, or Double Tap. That I'm looking forward to. It's been 10 years since the last one, if you can believe that. It's been so long since the last Zombieland came out. And I hope it doesn't end up going through the process of what happened with the Anchorman 2 situation where they waited too long to do a sequel, or it was one of those deals where they tried to do a sequel to match the lightning in the bottle that was the first movie, and then it just blew up in their faces. That's something that usually happens with some movies, 9 times out of 10, that I think usually ends up derailing a franchise. How about you? Is there any movies that you are interested in seeing, or anything coming out that you have hopes for? So have you taken any filmmaking class? I also really want to see that movie when it comes out. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark or the Joker movie? Oh, Scary Stories. Yes, yes, me too, me too. Um, as far as taking filmmaking classes, not as of yet. I haven't. I'm looking into taking some classes in the performing arts. I know it's something I always talked about doing. I been interested in doing. So that's something that could be on the horizon at some point. I definitely do want to end up taking some classes or some courses like that for filmmaking. But usually, I'm a very self-taught kind of filmmaker. Like I feel like once I pick up a camera and just go out there and film, that's when inspiration strikes. I'm like, okay, that's how you do it. um, there's one film I did that's not on this channel. It's on one of my other channels way back when I had some. There, it's the remake I did of the first Evil Dead movie that actually came out before. It was actually being made before the release of the new Evil Dead remake that was out at the time before that one came out. So it was kind of this weird thing of me trying to do. I was doing this project, and both movies ended up coming out like a month apart from each other. So it's kind of funny to think about. But yeah, I really one of my big dream projects to do. I would love to do a horror anthology. I would love to do a classic throwback to horror anthology movies like Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Hood, um, Body Bags, and Nightmares. I just really would love to go back and do movies like that. A horror anthology that has a linking wraparound segment because I love those. I truly, truly love those. Um, I think one of my favorites is the Twilight Zone the movie. I think that's one of my favorite horror anthologies, or just anthology movies in general. But I don't know a whole lot about. From what I've seen of the trailers of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I'm interested to see where they're going to go. Do you wish to become an actor or part of something for a large? I do, I do. I'm actually looking into. Don't want to say too much, but I did apply to have a role in to have like a extra in a movie that's going to be filmed down here at some point. So hopefully I get a cast call or callback for that. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Hopefully that works out. But I have acted before. I've acted before in a lot of stage productions, a lot of stage shows, some dinner theater. I would like to be part of a film project, and I was in some way for one of my friends who's no longer around. He had this movie Redneck Carnage that I also had a extra part in. Um, that was a small, low budget project. I don't know. I guess as far as like budget wise, I don't really look into the budget. I mean, I feel like if I'm part of a project, whether it's from a big studio or a small studio, that's still interesting to do. That's still fun. That's still exciting. Um, there's a lot of joy in that. So I don't necessarily look into like. I mean, would it be awesome if I was part of like a big company? Then yeah, sure, that would be amazing. But just to be part of the filmmaking process, I think is fun. I think it's enjoyable, whether you have like a small no speaking part or you end up having a huge part in a movie. Then it's always a dream. It's great. Um, and I remember way back when they were talking about this was back I think in 2015 I think or 2016 or 20 I don't know, it was sometime before they talked about the rumors about them doing scary stories to tell in the dark into a movie. Do you have any friends who know about movies? Like, does anyone close know about all this stuff? Um, as far as the horror movies go, yeah, I mean, anyone who knows me, close friends and family, they know I'm a big horror fan. I love horror films. Horror films have been, a big part of, what I enjoy as far as me. But as far as the other question goes, as far as the fetish stuff, only if you select people know, like truly know that I'm truly comfortable with telling and, talking to about, know about it. Only if you select people. Know about that and are okay with it and or understand or are just fine with it. But yeah, it's a good question. That's a good question. But as far as like horror goes, yeah, people who know me know I'm a big horror fan or just a big movie buff in general. I love films of all kind. I love action, drama, comedies, and sci-fi and horror. But horror has always been one of the main things I always go to and latch to it right next to superhero movies, which is why I love Brightburn. I'm gonna say this: I loved Brightburn. Brightburn was amazing, and I really hope that the movie was successful enough for them to because they talked about expanding their universe, expanding their own like evil superhero universe. I think that would be amazing. Which they do tease at in the mid credits sequences during Brightburn, which I really like that they do that, that they lean towards a potential spin off or sequel. I hope that happens. I really do. Yeah. I wanted to see that movie, but I had a super busy. Right, no, I understand that. I understand totally. There was one horror movie I saw I actually really enjoyed, and I actually got a confirmation from my brother who saw it before, and he gave it a great review. He gave it great remark, great, and that was the one second. Sorry about that. One second. Okay, I am sorry about that. I had to check on something real quick. I had a message from someone. Hope I didn't lose you, man. Hope I didn't lose you, Nickel. No, come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. Popped out, but came back in. Yeah, I did. I had to go check on something real quick. Sorry about that. But yeah, no one really, like I said, to answer the question before, I'm not sure if I answered it, but people that know about the fetish stuff, they're okay with it. They know about it, and it's all good. Yeah. Oh crap! I think I might have lost. I think I might have lost. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, no, man, that was me. I got a call on my phone and I had to take it real quick, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so I had to check on something real quick. So it was more on my end than on your end. Sorry about that. But yeah, as far as people who know about the fetish stuff, they're okay with it. I think it dropped out again. I don't know what it is. Signal's acting really weird. I should be connected this time. Everything should be peachy. Okay. Okay, everything should be frosty. As long as I don't move, I think everything is good. Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry about it cutting in and out. But yeah, Brightburn was great. Brightburn was a really good movie. Finally, a evil Superman horror movie. I love that. I love that they finally did a origin story of evil Superman. That's perfect. Because I loved Ultraman in the comics. Ultraman's been one of my favorite evil, like part of the evil counterparts in the DC universe. I always love the alternate universe stories and the evil side of some of the heroes, and I always like that. I always think those are cool. What are your thoughts on the Conjuring universe? I liked the. I wasn't a huge fan of the first Conjuring. I liked it. I just didn't enjoy it. Conjuring Two, I thought was the better film. The Annabelle movies, I think, are okay. I don't really know. My thoughts on their whole as a universe. I think it's an interesting idea. Um, I think it's cool that they're able to take something that started off as one movie and are able to expand the universe because there's tons of case stories from the investigators that are in those movies, the actual cases that they did. So there's a lot of stuff that they can work with to do that. But my promise with some of the movies is I know the first one they wanted to make sure that they were accurate to everything that happened because they actually had the correspondence from the wife of the of the team of investigators, and they said 90 if not 95% of that movie was accurate to what actually happened, or at least the recounts from what they told them. I think the same thing happened for the second movie, and I think the rest of them just spanned into this whole deal of like, okay, well, I feel like after every spin-off movie, they have this whole idea of like, okay, let's have one really good, creepy-looking monster, and set up for a spin-off and see if this can see where this goes, see if this works or not. I don't necessarily hate the Conjuring universe, but at the same time, I'm not in love with it. I think it's a cool idea. I just think sometimes with most of their movies, they feel really rushed and feel like most of them don't even deserve the R rating that's given to them. I feel like sometimes they just have to push some little button, say a curse word here or there, or push a little bit of extra gore just to get that R rated, which they probably don't even need, which is probably unnecessary on their part. And I'm one of those firm believers that horror movies need to be rated R, but at the same time, if you can tell a good story, there are some good PG-13 horror movies out there. So I really don't have. I don't know. I mean, I like it, but I'm not in love with the series. That's how I. That's how I feel about it as a whole. My thoughts on it. I heard the last Annabelle movie that came out, Annabelle Comes Home, I think is the name of the new one. I heard that one again got really mixed reviews, much like the last ones before. I heard The Nun was terrible, and The Curse of La Llorona, I heard that wasn't really too good either. So I'm not, I don't know, I'm not too crazy about the Conjuring universe. Do I think that there are some really great scenes? Yes. Do I like I said, I love the second movie. I think the second movie is my favorite in the whole series. And I did like the first Annabelle. I thought the first Annabelle was good as far as spin-offs go. I thought that was a pretty good, solid spin-off. I haven't seen Creation or the other ones. The only reason why I ask why it's rated R could be, I think the only reason it's rated R is because part of the religious. That's a good question because James Wan, he's a great director. He is a fine filmmaker. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm not against a director, saying like, "Hey, look, here's what I did," or somebody else coming in, because I feel like with some directors, if they want to stay with the franchise and stay with the story, then yeah, they should direct the other films. But if it's one of those deals where like, "Hey, look, I already told my side of the story, I already did the film I want to do," they approach me with more money. I don't really want that. I want to move on to this other project. Then yeah, it's fine for new directors to come in to take over. It's like with James Wan in his case, when he directed the first Saw movie, because he directed the first Saw movie. He wrote it with Lee Winnell, I believe was his name. Um, they already told the story. They did Saw. They were done with it. They were like, okay, this is good. But then the studio approached like, hey, you want to do a sequel? And they're like, well, I don't really want to direct a sequel, but we will write the script. You just guys find another director. So Darren Bousman came in and directed Saw. I think he directed Saw 2, 3, 4, and 5. No, 2, 3, and 4. He directed those films, and he did a great job. He was a good, person to come in and to, direct. I do believe that. I think they even said like the writers of Saw, said that they were done after 3 because they felt like they already told the story. They're like, okay, we told the story. This is how it ends. But then, studio gets kind of greedy sometimes, like, hey, we need to make more money. We need to make more sequels. So they'll get a new team of writers that had little to do with the other one, who end up becoming fans, and they end up doing good, half the time with, writing, like, their idea of a continuation. So I'm not against the idea of, directors feeling like they have to be labeled to doing one thing. Like I feel like if they want to do the series and want to direct the other sequels, then that's totally fine. I feel like, hey, look, I already did the ones I want to do. Let somebody else have another shot at this. That's fine. I'm okay with both sides of that argument. I did hear, speaking of directors and continuations, I did hear that the next Saw movie that's coming up is going to be within canon to Saw 7, I believe. I'm not sure if it's going to be canon with Saw 8 or not, but I believe they did say that they want to be canon with Saw 7. Chris Rock is writing the script and writing the basic story idea, which he's a huge fan of the Saw series, so that will be interesting to see. And Samuel L. Jackson's going to be a part of it. Chris Rock is going to have a part in it. And they want Darren Lynn Bousman to come back to direct this one, which I think is one of the best news I heard because I love Darren Lynn Bousman's Saw films that he did, and he's a good director. So I really think he can do it. But like I said, with James Wan, he's the kind of director I just want to be tied down doing one type of genre. As he's shown, he's done other ones. He did the action revenge type of genre. He did the superhero genre. He did the Aquaman movie, which I still believe is one of the best DC movies to have come out. That is hands down the best DC comic book movie, right next to Shazam. That saved the DC universe, in my opinion. And I think you're right, though. Maybe that is the reason why most of the Conjuring movies are rated R, because of the religious part of it and the demonic situations, which is fine. But, yeah. That's how I feel when it comes to James Wan. If he wanted to direct the other sequels, then that's fine. If you haven't seen Annabelle Creation, I recommend it. With the mass majority, lots of people like the movie. Do you like more psychological or more gore horror in your movie? That's a good question. I really love psychological horror. I think psychological horror has always been my go-to. Like going to a movie that is not rated R but is a great psychological thriller is the Glass movies, or the Unbreakable universe that was created. I thought Unbreakable is one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movies, and it was a great take on the superhero genre. Split was an amazing spin-off / follow-up, and Glass was a great way to bring that universe together. I thought that it was perfect, and it's a great psychological thriller. As far as gore in movies, I'm not a huge gore hound when it comes to certain stuff like that. I mean, when I watch a movie, like if I'm a slasher, then naturally I'm going to suspect gore and all that. So when it comes to the slasher genre, then yeah, the gorier the better. But when it comes to movies that are meant to be psychological, meant to make you think, then I go for more the psychological horror. Definitely that has to carry out more. Although with Child's Play, I didn't necessarily know what to expect from it, especially the reboot. And they surprised me with how gory they went, because usually most movies are afraid to go that route now, and that's what I actually really liked about this new one, that they weren't afraid to, go the extra mile, and I really appreciated that from them. And I know that with some movies they are afraid to go that extra mile, so sometimes they'll, push back or whatever. Or some directors, feel like they should. Like, here's an example of a movie that, let me see. I do wish they would go darker and not. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that was the thing I never really liked. I don't like jump scares. I want to be afraid when I watch a movie. I don't want tiny jump. I want a reason to fear. The Nun, or yeah, exactly. And I heard that was a big problem with The Nun and La Llorona, that they relied on jump scares. And I think they should get rid of jump scares in movies. I really do believe they should get rid of that. If you're doing a horror movie, don't do a fake scare or whatever. And I understand you kind of have to have a little jump scare to keep the suspense going, or else you end up with a 30-minute movie. But I feel like there's a more clever way to do something than just rely on a cheap jump scare. If a jump scare is done correctly, and there's only like one out of the whole thing, then I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally in support of just one little jump scare. That's one of the things I actually don't mind. If they just have one little jump scare, then I'm okay with it. A cleverly done jump scare. I just don't want a whole movie with like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, because then that just becomes stupid. It becomes ridiculous at that point. Let me ask you this: with the big slasher resurgence that's going on, well, here's a question I have for you. How do you feel about the reboot that they're going to do for Nightmare on Elm Street? Because I did hear it's confirmed to be happening. They haven't released too much news about it, though. Because my thoughts on reboots are pretty iffy. Like it's a very gray area for me. Like on one hand, I really don't love the idea of somebody rebooting an already well loved franchise. I'm with Doug Bradley on this when it comes to his thoughts on reboots or remakes, and he said this, and he's very open about his dislike for remakes because he feels like it's a lazy form of filmmaking. It's just taking something, banking off of something that was successful, and he feels like there should be more time put into an original project, an original story. Yeah, exactly. They did do a remake on it already. No, it wasn't successful. It wasn't. I remember seeing that the first reboot they did, I think it was 2010. The 2010 Nightmare movie wasn't that great. It wasn't a good movie. It wasn't solid at all. There was just terribly done. It was wasted potential. Me and my brother had this long talk about this. That if they are going to reboot Nightmare on Elm Street, then and they're dealing with dreams, and this is the thing that I think the movie suffered the most is they didn't get creative with the nightmares, they didn't get creative with the dreams. Freddy has this power in the universe that in the dream world or whatever, that he can twist reality, manipulate stuff. So you should go creative and out there insane when it comes to dreams, because dreams aren't supposed to make sense anyway. Dreams are just the unconscious mind or whatever, so you can go outlandish, weird, and bizarre, which is one of the things I appreciate about the later earlier movies is when they did Dream Warriors and part 4 and 5, they weren't afraid to go into the pure insanity route. Which is why I think Nightmare on Elm Street should be. Go straight into pure insanity. Yes, a dude turns into a cyborg in the middle of a scare. That's cool. I'm fine with that. It's a nightmare. It's supposed to be unrealistic. And to me, that was the biggest sin the movie committed, right next to making Freddy the way he was. And having that whole thing of like, everyone knows, anybody who knows me knows I really hate what they did with Freddy in that one. And he was never established to be that type of person. At least in my mind, he was never established to be that kind of person. In fact, Wes Craven even said when he did the first Nightmare on Elm Street, there was a line that was deleted, like this whole scene that was deleted. He said, no, that makes him too dark. That makes him too evil. I don't want that. So he cut it out completely. Which I do like in a way that the remake's like, well, let's go back to what Wes Craven kind of wanted, but was afraid to do. But at the same time, it was one of those things I didn't like at all. I'm like, no, that's not Freddy. You're making him unlikable at that point. That's how I feel about it. So if I feel they're going to do a reboot, again, and I hope they play their cards right, and as long as the character is true to form, I'm okay with it. I do know Robert Englund said that he's okay with passing down the mantle to someone else. He's actually more than okay with that. He's fine because he says that he feels like his time with Freddy is done. He's ready to hang up the glove. Although I did like his suggestion of who he would like, if they do plan on rebooting Nightmare on Elm Street, who he would like to see play Freddy. So you can. Right, exactly. That's the whole point of Freddy. But Robert Englund actually said this. He said that who he would love, his idea of who they should cast as Freddy for the reboot. He thinks Kevin Bacon. His choice is Kevin Bacon. And at first I was like, but then I really looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I can get behind this, because Kevin Bacon was an excellent bad guy in X-Men First Class. I know most people are iffy about X-Men First Class, but I absolutely love X-Men First Class. And Kevin Bacon was excellent as that villain, and he's good at playing creepy parts. He is really good at it, so he can do it. He's a good actor. I think he's a perfect choice for Freddy. He's about the right age for it. He's, perfect. I think he's a good candidate for that part. Or if they want to go, with a new up-and-coming actor, I am happy for that, because I feel like some up-and-coming actors don't get the spotlight enough and feel like they should shine in a movie like that, which is why I'm always for when original horror movies come out and they do get the spotlights to a new up and coming actor, then that gives them that opens the door for them. I do believe one of the most original writers in horror right now, or most original filmmakers right now, as it comes to the horror genre and also plays the psychological side of it very well, is Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele, to me, is phenomenal. He is a great writer. He is a great filmmaker. I'm actually watching his Twilight Zone series, and I'm loving it so far. I'm 3 episodes in, and I love the movie Get Out, but I also loved Us. I think I talked about this before on the last stream before, but that's how I feel about Us. I absolutely love Us. To me, that's his best work. And again, me and my brother talked about this because he's going to be behind the Candyman movie, the Candyman reboot that's coming out. Which again, a classic character. I'm rebooting Candyman. I made a joke with. I know way back when I made that joke with on the video, if you saw on my channel, of Child's Play reboot or Small Soldiers 2. I know I made that joke, but really, when it came down to it with the Child's Play reboot, I thought it was better than the original movies, to be honest with you. Even my brother thought that too, because it is better. It's better in every sense. Because I was never necessarily a fan of the Child's Play movies. I mean, I enjoyed them, but I wasn't, like, oh, when I heard about them rebooting, I was like, okay. What I did think was disrespectful about the reboot, or about the whole making behind it and what MGM did to them, or Orion Pictures did to them, is said like, okay, well, we're not having the original writer on board, we're not having any of the original cast, we're just saying screw you to them, we're taking this and. So that I thought, okay, that's kind of crappy on your guys' end to slap in the face the original creator of Chucky. I think that's bad, and I think it is. I do feel bad for, and I do understand why most of the original cast is protesting against the movie because of how they were mistreated. I totally understand that. But in a way, I feel like the writer, he's going to end up on top because he's got Sci-Fi that's going to launch his. Him turning his Child's Play into a series, so that's cool. So Child's Play is going to come back into a series on Sci-Fi, which is great. His take on Chucky, his version, his interpretation of what he wanted the character to be, so that's always going to work out. One of the things I actually really respect this about the Child's Play films. I will say this: I love that all of them keep in continuity with one another. That all of them maintain the same universe, no matter how crazy they get, no matter how out there their stories get, they're always within continuity and they're always connected. That's a problem that most horror movies have, or even most movies in some genres. They have a problem with connecting with, like, Halloween's a big one, for example. Halloween has like 5 or 6 separate timelines that they have that makes everything confusing. And I remember talking to my brother about this because I'm writing a script where I'm connecting the universe together. I'm trying to connect all the Halloween movies, excluding Halloween, the new Halloween that came out. I'm keeping everything within continuity, including Halloween 3, which had nothing to do with the other ones. I'm writing the script. It's called Halloween Homecoming. And it's actually the Halloween 9 sequel. It picks up after Halloween Resurrection. But this movie also connects to Halloween 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. And 8. It connects to those. Whereas after 6, 7 ignored the other ones like they never happened. Like ignored 3, 4, 5, and 6. So they ignored those and they rebooted the timeline saying like, oh, okay, well, Halloween 2 just happened. And then here's 20 years later with Laurie Strode now going under a different name, working at being the head mistress of a private school or whatever. So yeah, that's weird. So I write the script that's actually connecting the whole universe together, including the Silver Shamrock deal that happened in Halloween 3, including the Thorn Cult, which, as ridiculous as they are, I still kind of like them in a way. One thing I actually really love about the ending, the theatrical ending that they went with versus the ending and the producer's cut of Halloween 6, is that Michael takes the cultists and kills them left and right, who believe that they can control Michael and his evil. But it's like, no, evil can't be controlled. You can't reason with it. It's just this force of nature. But yeah, that's how I feel when it comes to some movies. Now, how about you? Where are some of your favorite horror franchises? I actually gotta get going here in a second. I gotta check on something. I'll come back with another part of this stream, so don't you worry, I'll be back.